Perfect. So we have arrived. I think this color scheme should work. We did it in another series, and there were no complaints. So let me just bring everybody up to speed. So much like the Platinum League, the goal was to have the quarterfinals, then the semifinals, and then the final of gold. A bit of a prize pool jump with each series, and just see who's the best in gold for Season 1. We had these two players, and then we had 3 other sets to happen. However, Dark and Sitaux were one of those quarterfinals. Dark and Sitaux cannot play. They're not around. Both of them happens to just not be able to play for like a week. So that put us into a pickle because that would delay all the other players. And then we'd have to we went through a lot of different ideas of what we could possibly do. Like bringing in player who was already eliminated to come in. I didn't like that because they were already eliminated and then affects prize pool splits. We went through everything that we could have possibly done to try and get it to finish out in the same manner. And in the end, we decided the top 8's established, right? The promoted players to go into Platinum, which is the biggest deal, is established. Let's just have the 3 quarterfinals play out and leave it at that and just give these players in gold one last opportunity to show how beastly they are, basically. And all that additional prize pool will go towards those 3 sets. So that's where we're at on that. I'm really sorry for people who would have wanted to see the format play out. As we see Running, bringing the Rhino right away, which is really good thinking because you could be lamed. Sorry about that, but, believe me, it wasn't something we expected, and we'll have to talk about behind the scenes for maybe the next time. So Running's playing as the Byzantines. Valas is playing as the Aztecs. Byzantines have always been a civilization of counters, and it can be particularly strong against the Aztecs or the Mayans if they can get to the Skirmisher Cataphract. Now, there's a lot of things that are strong against Skirmisher Cataphract. So, that's not that big of a concern. It's not like, oh, God, Skirmisher Cataphract counters me. Oh, whatever will we do? Because it takes time. It takes eco. But there is a big reason to pick the Byzantines, and it's for their defensive prowess and then the potential to dominate later. However, there's a lot of big reasons to pick the Aztecs, and I don't think that I would prefer the Byzantines in this matchup. I think the Aztecs have so much time to take advantage of their bonuses. And we could see whether it be Man-at-Arms Rush into Fast Archers. Just their feudal age economy towards Castle Age and Aztecs can normally get a pretty good lead. Map-wise, it's very open on the front for Valis. And then there seems to be wood lines and a hill separating both the players. It's cool how the hill just spans through the middle. I've talked a lot about this in my cast of TTL. This is something that I think is important for Arabia that has kind of been lost. For some reason, it's now a thing to have lots of hills at your base. And it's not like we don't have hills here. But I don't know, man. I feel like having hills near your base is good, but having larger hills near your base isn't the best. And then having the larger hills throughout for the extra resources, like this here, this stone here. You look over here, you've got, I guess maybe not so much actually for Valis, right? The way this map gen's sorted, but neutral resources in general, having the bigger hills, having it be towards the middle of the map, just gives a great flow to the game, as players are naturally going to build up from their base towards the middle or towards the corners and have some areas to secure. Wow, Running's up already. Or he's going to go up already. So Running's going 19 pop. Let's see if he can drop it off. He's going to have the food. Wow, 19 pop. He skips the mill, guys. Look at Valis. Valis is like, oh my god, this guy doesn't have a mill. So this much must mean he has a barracks, and he is going to be going for a drush. So Valis, who's also going for a drush, is probably like, huh, okay, where's this guy's drush? I don't see anything. Now, there's a big downside to this build order from Running. It's that you're at the limit. Right? And he has to respect that there might be a drush coming in. So he's walling in his villagers, and so he can have 5 on a lumber camp. And then he's got 10 on a straggler tree. And he still has to make a barracks. And he has to make a range. And he has to have somewhat decent economy. So it is definitely, let's say, cutting some corners here. And I think Valis now, okay, he sees the mining camp, so now he's going to know this is Fast Archers. And honestly, I think, so Valis, he's going to get loom here. He's going to get some walls down. He might even be considering a fast castle of sorts. But I think if I were him, You can't do any damage against the villagers that are walled in. Your opponent has best to do there. I think I just camp the berries. Force those archers to deal with you instead of ever going to your base, then I think you're going to be fine. Good timing on Loom, though, for Valas, because his scout from running could easily pick off a villager. Still could pick off one villager. That's placing the walls. But at least in this case, you're close enough to your base where you can pull the villager back home and just send a new one out to deal with it. There's the archer range for the German. And I probably should talk a little bit more about the players. So, Running ended up getting second place in his group and then winning a best of 5 to make it here against Sobek. He looked really strong. And then you had Valas, who just straight up won his group. He had 13 wins. 13 wins and 2 losses out of 15 games. And became one of the easy favorites to... Oh my god, that must have been a misclick. I think he's one of the favorites, honestly, to maybe stay alive next time. Like, there's going to be a lot of players who are promoted who are going to be in that relegation fight. And I truly do think that he's one of the favorites to stay alive. We'll have to see what happens in the next season, what the groups look like, obviously. All right, so Valas is he's just on his way up here. It won't be a fast castle. I think he was originally thinking he wanted to try it, but just not seeing the resources really be there. No losses for Running, obviously. Running has had to pull his archers over here to deal with this, though. Running, trying to get some hits in with the villager and calculate it so he can save his vill, which he's done perfectly. The idle time hasn't been perfect, but this is something he's going to focus his attention on now, and that is the second time that he has placed an outpost instead of a farm. And I'm very confused by that. I didn't see that in any of his other sets. It has to be a hotkey issue, but like right now, he can't actually... Oh, he can't place farms. That's it. That might actually be the reason why. Like maybe there's a hotkey thing where his farms take priority or something. I don't know. But he couldn't actually place farms because he didn't have the mill completed. So that's actually a pretty big deal. He's got all this wood now. And he was rather late to the berries as well. And he will clear up the militia. But Valas makes it to the next stage. And I said it wouldn't be a fast castle because I looked at his resources and I didn't think he could get there. And he's definitely in between, right? Now, I think he can make it to Castle Age faster. But this is not a straight fast castle, at least from what I'm seeing here. Unless he wants to go crazy. Unless he wants to sell his stone. He could maybe sell his stone, get a bit of a gold boost, and buy some food. He will have the buildings, and he's close to getting the resources to go up. We also have the market now from Running. I think Running with this uptime is thinking this will be a clean and easy fast castle for his opponent. And so he's desperate now to do some damage. And, or sorry, not to do some damage. I mean, obviously, he's going to be a bit desperate for damage, but he's desperate to get to Castle Age, as he will sell his stone, buy some food, because he's worried. And actually, what's interesting here is Valas would have looked at the market, as he does click up, and he will have seen the stone price is different. Normally, you get 91 gold for the first sell. So he might realize that Running's trying to catch up. But I was slightly off, I guess. Valas is able to pull off the fast castle. Not perfect. And so far, it looks like he's going to go into Eagles. And then I guess it's going to be Monks here. And he didn't sell all of his stones. So if he really wanted to boom up in the back of his base, he could always do so. So I don't think what Running chose to do here is bad. I think going for the fast archers is a play. But had he known it was going to be up against a Drush, I think he would have gone for a more standard approach, which could have had slightly better eco focus. His eco's not too bad, though. Here, he's got lots of farms. He's got his berries now. He's getting wheelbarrow. He'll get the walls down as well, which is always important. And I'll be curious to see what Valas wants to do. I mean, the Eagles should be able to control the map. He has to expect his opponent will be walled, but you still should be running out with Eagles. But considering we've only seen one barracks, I'm not so sure what this is going to be. Here comes the villager sneaking out of the walls. It takes forever to make Eagles in Feudal Age. I think it would make sense if you think you're up against archers to maybe make a siege workshop to push. And yeah, that farmer's walking forward. Just as Running clicks up to the next stage. But remember, Running does not have stone. That's going to be really annoying. He doesn't have an answer to this eagle. This eagle could pick off villagers. And that's the thing. You do not know if it will be an all-in. And you have to prepare for an all-in in most cases. If you don't make army, as we now see man-at-arms coming in, if you don't make army, you could be screwed. So usually you make army. If they don't forward you, you then send that army forward to hit them. And we will see a stable now as well. So Valas is scouting, see what he can find, and Running is using this scout to see if there's a forward. And he senses it correctly. And he sees there's a siege workshop. So he knows this is some type of an all-in from his opponent. Loses his scout now. Still only one barracks, though. Like, that's very unorthodox to just have one barracks. I have, like, 6 eagles. And we have... the stable was actually deleted there by Running. And he's now making a barracks over here, so he wants to go for the longsword play. He actually will have the food for it as well, as he's now getting supplies as well. This is well timed here from Running. If it wasn't so early in the morning, I would yell supplies like I normally do, but I'm not going to do that just yet. And Valis... Man, is scouting so good, and now he hits the villagers there. However, they are Byzantine houses, and this is just to buy Running some time. So there's a monastery for Valis. There's going to be another monastery as well. And that's probably the best thing you can do as Aztecs against longswords. Obviously, you know, an archer tech switch would take some time. You need the range, then the archers, then the upgrades. Monks, you just need the monks and like maybe one upgrade with Aztecs and you're good to go. Seagull continues to run around. Both players know exactly what is happening here. Running does not... Oh, he does see the monasteries, but I was going to say, even if he doesn't see them, he's going to know. And he's being patient so far. But he only has man-at-arms. He hasn't clicked longsword. And so if you don't know a lot about Valis, he is actually a Finnish player who many might confuse with Velez or Veleza. Of course, there's 2 amazing pros from the same country that have very similar names. But anyways, he's like 22 or something. Someone might want to check his Wikipedia profile for me. He's on the younger side. And he's had some top 16 runs. Didn't have maybe the strongest 9 months, but I think some of that was due to inactivity. Obviously, like a lot of the scene was a bit unsure on what was happening there for a bit with AoE4 and whatnot. But he's just solid. He's a solid player, and I think he has a lot to prove. And he's fresh to the game compared to maybe some others. As longsword comes in, and that's a lot of longswords there. However, a couple will be converted. Is it going to be enough? So you convert the longswords, and you keep your monks alive here, you might be able to get more conversions, but the siege push has certainly been put to an end. These monks are going to have to run away. Now, Sanctity is going to come in at the perfect time, because it will give the monks more HP, but I honestly, I don't think Valis can keep these monks alive. If these monks will die, that monk will go down as well. He's going to make more monks, and sure, he can get a conversion, but he's going to sacrifice all of his monks. I guess the good news behind this is as he realizes his push is failing, he's dropping a second town center and he's going to try and catch up with the economy. But well played Running. Running with his arena skills, knew exactly what to do to defend from this. Still pumping out the longswords. The downside for Running is his food eco is actually not great at all. He really needs more farms. He probably needs to get some stone if he ever wants to drop a TC. You now have 3 TCs for Valis, so he's just like, okay, that didn't work. Let's try and get a lead in another way. It is 4-0 with the Eco KD. And it's 44 villagers versus 35. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there's more idle time for Running. But also the fact that Running has researched Wheelbarrow and Valis has not. Also, I don't know who it was, but congrats to the player who said they just got 1,300 after like 300 games. That's really solid. There's a lot of people that have 2,000 games that aren't above 1,300 or at 1,300, so I don't know, like, this play here to go all in, it's a bit interesting, but I think it's just a result, like, I think the fast castle came in and Valis was like, well, I don't have stone to boom because I needed to sell some of that. And then you always feel the need to take some type of control. So I think he just got very torn in that moment on how to handle things. He's now researching fervor in this final monastery, but he will lose these houses. He will lose his monastery. He will lose his siege workshop. And now here comes Running with a push. Again, as I mentioned, for Running, you are falling further and further behind in villagers. And so it was a bit of an all-in. There was a big cost investment into those buildings. But Running's just now on the second TC. So there could be like a 15 or 20 villager lead for Valas here. It's funny. I saw this cactus and I thought it was a... I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like because there's another cactus behind the cactus. It kind of looked like a monk to me. Like if you look at the monk hats... Yeah, okay, I'm not that crazy. Look at the monk hats. And then look at this. At first glance, it could kind of look like a cactus monk, you know? So I thought that maybe Valas had monks out there. There's a stable now for Running. He'll add TC number 3. He'll be happy to have some longswords on the field. But his opponent could always switch into archers. We could also see the rare Jag push, guys. Look at Valas. He's on stone. I think this is just going to be a castle to defend his gold that's exposed on the front. But making a few Jags with some monks makes sense right now. Obviously, later on, if cataphracts come out, again, that's a big if. Maybe it's not quite as exciting. But yeah, 2 longswords get deleted because they didn't want to switch teams. And honestly, I prefer Valas' position. From losing everything on the front to now dropping all this economy, I like his position a lot. There's a stable now for Running. And so Running knows the monks will be out there and will want to pick them off. But again, it's Aztec monks. After a few monk upgrades, these monks find themselves on 55 HP, which is more than the scout. And if the monks are grouped, you would need to have light cav and probably, yeah, like maybe 3 scouts. So the light cav upgrade's coming in. Man, this boom is sick, though. The fact that, like, it almost doesn't add up. Losing that whole forward and then also having this big of an eco lead's wild to me. And I guess a lot of it is, like, yes, the push back with supplies, longswords was successful. But it took everything that Running had. And he, again, probably won't be realizing his opponent has this big of an economy lead. There's archer range number 1 and 2 now for Valas. Who converted 1 longsword over here. And here come the light cav. And the light cav are going to find 2 monks, both with relics. It takes a couple hits to kill them, but it's an easy kill in the end. Well played there from Running. You don't want the Aztecs to be able to get those relics, and those relics are sitting right next to each other, and the monk bodies are on the ground. That's funny. And now Running will want to focus on this and maybe even send his own monk forward. Aztecs get 33% more gold per relic, so it's a really big deal. I think that Valas will probably still get these, but he is a bit under pressure. He got housed a bit. Had to make a couple spearmen. Doesn't know exactly what's going to come in beyond just longswords. It could be longsword. And also the light cav. Still doesn't have an idea of what his opponent's long-term army comp's going to be. But yeah, there you go. That's going to be 2 relics at least for the finished pro. Light cav looping in again. Again, you have to be so careful. But you might as well try, right? I think on the hill you should be able to get 1. And if you get 2, you'll be happy. But yeah, only getting 1. So you lose your own monk. And now the opponent converted the light cav, which doesn't make sense to me, as Doubt would say, it's a counter! It's a counter unit! It's a counter! And Doubt's right, by the way. There is a very slight chance that you can always convert light cav that quickly. And that is what we call monk RNG, and there goes Valas on the way up. And he's going to want to open with Arbalest here, it seems. He's going for crossbowman. Makes sense because his opponent has so many melee units. And for Running, it is cheaper for him to go up to the next stage, but he hasn't clicked yet. I like how he's bringing back the relics, though. He did a really good job to scout the rest of the map after the start of this game. Now Valas is going to send out his light cav to try and get some relic control as well. Of course, it wasn't originally his light cav. Now he sees a monk, and wouldn't you know it, that monk's going to die to the light cav. Easy pick off. And we have a castle in the middle now for Valas. So, it's probably going to be 3 relics for Running. That's the way I expect this to go. Running's going to drop a castle here, but he hasn't clicked up yet. Maybe he feels like a moment where he really needs to stop making skirms. Like, I think that he's trying to make skirms to deal with the crossbowman right now, but he just doesn't know his opponent's clicked up yet. Skirmishers cost food, of course, right? That could be the difference between going imp at this time or not. Now you see the castle, and now you're like, oh, crap. I forgot to click up to imp, or I made too many skirmishers. Now it can be helpful later on, because then you have the skirm numbers. That's what makes it complicated. But this will be some nice early pressure for Valas, who opened up Castle Age, getting destroyed, and somehow turned it into a lead for him. He's got his monks, he's got his crossbows, quick and easy kills there. He's also going to go siege. He also has insane resources. We could maybe see Onager here. If he's worried about skirmisher, I wouldn't mind the Onager play. Here he is making houses everywhere. So he's ahead of the game in that regard. And he's going to go Arb, Bracer, Chemistry. So chewing through all his resources with that. He'll go for a Treb, obviously, because he does know that Running's made a castle there. Now, it's a Byzantine castle. But Running's still got 2 minutes until he's in the next age. And he's failed to pull away some of these farmers here. And Castle Age skirmishers do not fare very well against Arbalest, especially if there's a Mangonel here. Yeah, like, the positive is that the skirms are fairly cheap. The negative here is that you're going to be behind with army on land, but also you're going to have an issue here with the siege. As we actually have Valas coming this way with the Treb. There's no way he's going to go for the TCs trying to stop Imperial Age, right? I don't know. Like, maybe he's thinking Running would be imp at the same time as him. And if Running was going to be imp at the exact same time, it would... Oh, big shot. It would make sense to maybe not try and beat a Byzantine castle. But he's actually coming in here with the Trebuchet, and he's going to go for the TC. This might be a confident display of how he believes his eco is. He just wants to nuke the opponent's eco and then just forget about the castle and run directly in here. That's not the MTC. It would have been really fun, though, if it was the MTC. You can see how close this is going to end up being. And yeah, Valas says, screw your castle. I don't care about your castle. I don't care about your skirms either, because I have Mangonels and I have Arbalest, and you still need to wait for imp upgrades. Now imp comes in. The Treb's on the way for Running, but a castle's on the way up for Valas, and the TC is going to go down. And look at all the villagers that could die here. This is such a smart play. Man, like, I would have been blasting Valas for not going after this castle if he didn't do this much damage, but this makes so much sense. In fact, I think this makes more sense than going after the castle and just waiting. Yeah, look at this. 40 villagers have to run. Now, in this case, it looks like the villagers will survive. But villagers surviving does not mean villagers working. The whole farming eco looks like it was here. And the GG's called. So, dang, man. Like, Running. I think he dealt with the push appropriately, right? Dream scenario for him where he took out 3 monasteries and a siege workshop. But Valas just switched onto eco so fast. And I think his eco was in a pretty solid state while he was doing that push as well, which is why he could shift into the TCs. And that dream scenario from Running turned into a nightmare pretty quickly there. Great start to the series for Valas. Again, Valas won 13 games and lost 2. He beat every single player in his group. Didn't have to play a little round of 12, obviously. And while we won't have the semifinal, we won't have the final for Gold League. Still, really cool to see what these guys are capable of. And I think some of that's also Aztecs, but man, that was impressive. Made it look really easy, right? 29 kills, 28 deaths in that game, but somehow Running got completely smashed. And there's the eco for you. 37,000 resources collected versus 27,000. We talk about the Aztecs with their military guys, but one of the big reasons Aztecs are dominant is their eco. And as good as the Byzantines can be, they do not have an eco bonus, and you could tell that was the case right there. All right, here we are, some houseboat action. Well, I think the last time I saw houseboat was in the final of Platinum League. And that was the most ridiculous houseboat game ever. And it was in the final. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen the final yet in a Platinum League. But I know people have been showing up today being like, wait, I thought this stuff was over. So a lot of people didn't realize that there was going to be Gold League action as well. So that tells me that at least those people probably saw that crazy, crazy final. I still have to let it sink in. And I'll let it sink in after the first season ends and I look back at everything. But I honestly believe that was maybe the best final I've ever seen. Certainly is like in my top 3 of finals. That was crazy. Plenty of storylines, plenty of jokes, but also plenty of crazy games. Running has the Japanese. These players are very close together. And Valas has the Malay. Both of these civilizations are fantastic on water. Both could take an offensive approach on water to try and take out the opponent's fish. Or you could have somebody else. Or you could, just expect that other person to come in and play more defensive. Map-wise, everything seems fine, as it normally is. We actually had Valas getting housed, though. So that's a bit sloppy, but he fixes that problem pretty quickly. And I think I prefer the Japanese. But it comes down to who has water control. Like, if they both have their own pond, I prefer the Japanese. But not all the time. I think that if Malay can get to Arbalest, Skirmisher, Bombard Cannon, that's where they can be better than Japanese. At least in theory. And then I guess later on in the game, Japanese could dominate because of the access to Samurai. I think the game that sticks with me, though, that makes me think less and less about the Japanese is that game from Jordan Tato. Now, I think Tato ended up winning that game as the Japanese, but he lost like over 100 Samurai, and his opponent never had more than like 15 Arbalest. And it's probably good that Samurai don't, like, they should not be buffed. You do not want to give Samurai more Pierce Armor, but the point is if there's archers out there, the Samurai just aren't quite as strong. Yeah, Viper Max, Hidden Cup 2 final. Yeah, there's been some crazy finals, man. Red Bull Wolo 5 finals is insane. You had, like, the original King of the Desert finals. I don't know. I guess it depends. Like, recency bias can be a thing, right? That's why I said I have to let it sink in and think about it. But we've been blessed with some good finals over the years. I didn't know. We did not celebrate with a ring, Johnny. But there's this joke. I don't know if I told you guys this. But long story short, it's a little inside joke amongst us and our friends, where I'm going to propose to my girlfriend at Olive Garden. And she doesn't want to be proposed to at Olive Garden. It's a whole thing. Because, like, one time, like, I don't know if I told you guys this story, so I'll just tell it. But, like, it was, like, last year or something. And people were asking her, like, ooh, you guys are talking about it? Like, where would you want him to propose? And someone's like, oh, Olive Garden, breadsticks, you know. And she's like, I don't want to be proposed to at an Olive Garden. And then other people were like, why not? Olive Garden's amazing, right? And so then it became this thing. The thing is, she really likes Olive Garden, so she just didn't want it to be. She wants it to be a little bit more unique, you know, which is fair. But ever since then, I'll be like, she'll do something real cute, and I'm like, hey, you want to go to Olive Garden? So I just keep like messing with her there. So yesterday, after she got her master's, we had secret plans to go out and celebrate with our friends, and I didn't tell her where we were going. And she was like, I'm half thinking you're going to take us to Olive Garden. So no, you know, I'm not going to clue you guys in really on my plans, but obviously we've been looking at rings, so I know that she watches the stream from time to time, so if I ever had proposal plans and I were to tell you guys, that'd be the most Tristan thing ever, is to have her be listening while she's at work or something, and then just spoil it, so I'll just say I'm not ever going to propose. You know, she's really not that great, you know, just in case she's listening this morning. Wow, fast uptime here from running, 25 population. I think this is as fast as you can go with adding fishing ships. With this civilization. Malay could squeak it out a little bit faster. But if you're going this quick, you're probably going to be sending villagers forward. And there goes running with the 2 villagers. And running sees the dock from the opponent. Now, Malay docks have a lot of HP, so you'd probably want to avoid that. But Valas has almost full vision on this area, so most likely he will see what his opponent's up to. And we've seen generations on Houseboat before where the players are very close together. It can definitely have an effect on your strategy, but there goes Valas. And already, before even seeing this, Valas is going for the second dock. So he's thinking that pressure... So I actually love this strategy. I've said it a lot. Always go second dock. And if they show up with their own dock, you just defend from it. 2 docks versus 2 docks. And then hopefully you have the edge with the defense. And if you have the edge with the defense, you just fish boom off your 2 docks. The problem is, as we have quick walls here from Valas... And he's going to kill running scout. What a sick play there. He was originally coming over here to deny the docks. Dang, that was creative. But I would say the problem with the thinking that I just gave is that you're not applying any pressure to them. So that's kind of the downside of it. We will have double fires coming out now for Valas. Actually, he was a little late to gold to be able to get double fires. And he says, fine, you want to wall in your villagers? I'll just wall them in as well. And honestly, I think the play here is to tower this. Yep, just tower this. Because you kill the villagers can never escape, but then the villagers cannot be repairing. I think that's the big thing here. Running popping out with a demo. He's got another fire on the way. Obviously has the lead with the production here. Sadly, we'll lose the villagers, but I'm not really sure what you do there. I think walling in your villagers is smart, but I think building the tower is also a good play from the opponent. Obviously, fishing ships are going down here for Valas. This is not easy. And he could lose more if the demo hits them. And there goes the demo, and the demo hits 2 more. And so even if Valas does defend, it's likely that he will have to make a lot more fishing ships. So this is looking good for running so far. Villagers obviously will go down, though. Eco KD going to end up being 3-2 for the time being. And imagine still having to ferry your villagers back and forth as you have to defend on your water at the same time. Second dock at home for running. And he's probably like, okay, well, I'll just focus at home a little bit more. And if he can just continue to be some type of a threat here, I don't think he'll complain too much. As he still has the 2 docks producing. And the docks aren't really being taken out yet by Valas, so... This is a deceiving map, right? Like, it's really hard to look at the amount on each resource in this map and say, oh, this person's going to get to the next stage or this person's ahead, because how you get there is always so different. I think shifting over to mills right now on berries is a very important thing to do. Not really seeing that. Particularly for the Japanese player. And okay, there we go. Because those mills are really cheap. Also, we have a scout here. And this is the starting scout for Valas. Remember, runnings went down. And whoop! She saves herself. Well played, lady. Good move from Valas there, obviously, as we have the fire galleys going in. And you do not want to get too close to the TC. But running's doing a good job because he's got a demo on the way. And I could see Valas not realizing this one. The timing's going to be perfect. Here comes the demo. And wow, great micro. In fact, that was a complete waste of a demo there. Great micro from Valas. So having the tower and also having 2 fire galleys that are full HP should end up getting these kills. Total KD is 8-7 right now. We still have to pay attention to that food count, obviously. And I noticed a very early market for Valas. He didn't even have excess golds. So it's not like he could really even buy or sell stuff. That's weird to me that he would go market that early. But we're also seeing a market from running. So what do I know? I guess they both want to go market blacksmith and go fast castle here or something. Transport ship being repaired. Nice save. And now I think the end is near for running's little push, but he's still going to be producing for now. Anyways, how's your Friday yesterday, my friends? I know it might not be Saturday for some of the people watching right now. It might just be creeping into Sunday, so you can just tell me how yesterday was. How's that? Walls now for running. He's going stone walls in an interesting position. But I guess he maybe wants to... Oh, man, I actually hate these stone walls. If you're going to do this, I think you should stone wall like this. And then go this way towards the edge of the map so you can secure yourself a back corner. I totally understand it, though, because he doesn't have the scouting. And he doesn't know what his opponent's going to do. And so he might just want to scout what he has seen at this point. Anyways, more fire galleys clearing it up. Obviously, the score lead's there for Valas, but he has a lot of that water control in his own pond. And he's now having to add fishing ships. And let's look at the total resources collected. Dang, it's so close, but look at the food difference. I think in theory that wood difference turns into some food eco soon, though. I expect it to be even. And then, of course, Malay can always click up later to the Castle Age because they do advance faster. But imagine if Valas, instead of going for the market, which he hasn't used, imagine if he went for a barracks and an archer range. It's the same cost. And then he would have 2 archers on the field. And then running would be in such a bad spot right now. But no, running's going to get the walls down. And running's adding tons of fish. Already fish trapping as well. And I think Valas is going to run in. I think he wants to dock his opponent's water. Let's see if running notices this. See, Valas thought that that was going to be fully stone-walled. Now it's just like just passing. And, oh, he's fighting it. Actually, I'm not a fan of fighting here if your plan is to get a dock down, because I think now at this point running's going to know. But, okay. Maybe he sees the walls and just decides against trying to hit with water. There is the barracks. Running, buying food, selling resources, desperate to click up. Can't get too close to this if you're running, because there's the tower and then there's also the fire galleys. Now, villagers are running away. Valas, I think, wants new villagers to get through here. This is what I meant. He must not have realized this is fully walled, but if you just sneak the villagers in, I think you have a much better shot. And he might still get those villagers in. Running has stonewalled everything except for these 3 tiles. And Valas comes in with his starting scouts. The starting scout can help get some vill picks there. And I guess, on one hand, like, you could just house wall this, and then it's walled. But on the other hand, you don't want to do that, because you don't want to lose these villagers. But you might lose the villagers anyways. This is annoying. Running also brought a fishing ship over intentionally, I think, so we could block a potential dock, but he's going to run away now. Castle Age time is virtually identical. It feels like a siege workshop should be in order for both. And the fishing eco looking better and better for both players, as well as Valas is now up to 15. You hurt yourself at the gym. Dang, that sucks. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully it's just a tweak. I've been there. I'm a very injured man. I have many ailments. There's the barracks there for running. I have like 3 injuries that I'll just live with for the rest of my life. That will probably never resolve, but it's not horrible enough where I can't do things. So hopefully it wasn't too bad. Okay, stone count also will be pretty high here for Valas. And they're so close, I feel like a castle drop, even just between them, would be smart. But again, Malay fish traps have thousands of food on them. Japanese fish traps do not. But still, fish traps aren't bad. I think they bring in 800 food. And Japanese fish also fishes a little bit faster. So we have a stable now. And we have a gate. And we don't have a castle. We don't have archers. We don't have anything like that for Valas. He's just going to get gill nets. It does feel like he's building up towards a castle. But if running can get a knight, that castle position might need to be further back. Running's actually going to add scouts now. Maybe worried about monk siege push. Which is actually, I think, the perfect call. Because his opponent went monk siege push in the previous game. And his opponent has an outpost here with a forward position. So I would be expecting monk siege push personally. So I like the scout addition. But he's going to see the castle. And he's going to be like, oh, wasn't expecting that one. Valas shows up with his starting scout, which is low HP. We'll end up losing the starting scout, but I think he took the fight because he knew he just didn't want his castle to be denied. Actually has some weak villagers there as well. And this still could be a fast stimp scenario for Malay, but we have 3 TCs from running. He does know about the castle now, but he finds out the hard way, and now his knight won't really accomplish too much. This is just going to be such an awkward position for running. Like, I don't think he opened badly here. I think that Valas just played really well. The way he walled off that scout and went into immediate dock defense was perfect. And now Running's got this castle here that can just bust through his walls. And so he has to add more stone walls. Look at the eco count. Hold on, let me look at the food collected. Dang, man. The wood and food eco is just insane right now. Again, that wood eco brings you additional fishing ships and additional fish traps, which will eventually bring you the greater food economy. That's just something that Valas is going to have to focus on. But yeah, Valas is going fast imp. I don't know how much army he's going to have, but he will be in the Imperial Age and he'll have the possibility to make trebs. There's one thing I can be critical of here. It's the fact that he's not shooting down this wall. I think tasking that wall to shoot it down so he could break in later on is going to be really important. Now, it's not like Running isn't doing the same thing with the fishing ships, but if you lose this position, like if you lose this dock even, the majority of your good food eco is denied. So fast into a single trebuchet might actually do an awful lot here. Also, what's up, Arland? Good morning. 15 to 10 KD. Again, as a reminder for everyone who's come in, we will not end up having a semifinal and a final for Gold League now because we had Dark and Sitaux not be able to play at all. And they were in their quarterfinal set. So we're just having these 3 quarterfinals as kind of a fight for more prize pool, a fight to show what they're capable of, and you know, to show truly who is on top of the gold. It is still pretty clear who's going to be promoted. We still have that top 8 confirmed, even though Dark and Sitaux aren't able to play the quarterfinal. Later on today, we have, shoot. Is it Okay, it's Kingston. I think it's Sebastian and Ganji. And then we have, oh shoot, how do I not know this? Kingston, and it would have been a group winner. Who won the other groups? I think it's Kingston and Draken. That should be a crazy series, actually. That series on paper might not sound like the most exciting series of the day, but I think that series will be insane. Also, I'm about to be so annoyed for Running, who's caught up with Eco and is on his way to Imp. But again, if he loses this dock, this is going to be so awkward for him. That's what I would do. I would just treb down the dock. You're still able to fish, but the efficiency isn't there anymore. Also, he was going to get War Galley in that dock, realized it was being trebbed down, is now getting War Galley again, and has added galleys now. So he wants to go for water defense. So this pretty much is just fast imp into a trebuchet. Valas actually deleted his starting TC on this island because he got sick and tired of it and is going to have one back here now. So it'll still be one TC play for him, but he's got amazing vision on where his opponent is and what his opponent is up to. And he also has crossbows that are about to have Bracer, and Chemistry's already in as well. So he's going to have... The big thing, I guess, was Bomber Cannon, which is why he rushed Chemistry so early. I always do feel like Japanese struggle in these types of games because they don't get Bomber Cannon. Japanese eco is very strong early on, but in late game against other Arbalest civilizations, they struggle. Japanese would ideally be up against civilizations that would go for primarily cav in later stages of games because they have that awesome infantry. They do not have the best answers to Archer Bomber Cannon. 17 to 10 KD. The pressure continues to come in for Valas. We'll check the resources collected. Valas still ahead. Every category, actually. And these were how most of the games were in golds. Because he like won every single series. He won 13 games. And he lost 2. And I forget who he lost to. I think he played Vivi in one of them. I think Vivi probably took one of those games off of him. Yeah, Doc went down. We have Navy and now Monk defense here for Running, but Valas has had all this vision, and so he just swings over. And honestly, Running looks a little helpless right now. I don't know what he can do. He's trying to catch up in the archer numbers. He's adding his own trebuchets. The Navy was not a bad decision to try and stop the Arbalest from advancing in, but now he's just getting picked apart from the sides. Yeah, Japanese do have fully upgraded Arbalest, but they don't have the things that you normally mix in an Archer War that other civs might, like Siege Ram or Bomber Cannon. The big one being Bombard Cannon. So they can go into skirms and archers. But if the other, like, usually any other Arbalest Civ can go for skirms as well, right? And then if that Civ's able to combine Bombard Cannons with it, it gets really tricky. And I don't know, like, Japanese trebuchets are quite strong. But trebuchets are not normally a good defense tool for up against Bombard Cannons because Bombard Cannons are a bit more mobile. Valas lost one game both to Vivi and Margu. Okay, gotcha. Alright, well. We found out that Margu will be back in gold. That was a crazy series. Sebastian and Margu in the round of 12. Even though it wasn't maybe as close as we wanted. And wow, this might not be close either. Running just taps out. Honestly, Valas is just so good. This is 2 straight games where I think Running has made some good plays. And Valas is just like, nope. Psh, and just beats him to imp and just steamrolls him. And I'm trying to think what Running could have done differently. I think something that would have been really important from Running, and I said the same for Valas actually, is maybe instead of going for the Market Blacksmith, when the players are so close, go for a barracks and mix in archers early. I get the decision to go for walls, but I think having some army control would have been really helpful here. It would have prevented Valas from being able to just drop his castle. It would have given you more control over the game and allowed you to boom. But it's not like Running didn't have economy in this game. He had 101 eco versus 81. It's just the worker efficiency was way higher for Valas. And that fast imp with Malay was clutch. I think game 1 was 29 to 28 KD. And then Valas got the victory. This one is 18 to 10 KD. And he gets the victory. Because he just gets to these spots where Running knows he's completely bested. And then if he continues to try, he's just going to lose everything. That was insane. All right, so we're catching up. We thought that Running, who picked Turks first, would go Turks on fortified clearing. But he instead goes for the Britons. And maybe he thought that Italians would be the choice from his opponent to counter Turks. And he felt like the Britons dominate the Italians. I don't know. But not a matchup we've seen before. We're now up to live time. And we have Valas bringing in his boar. And I'm expecting fast castle here, but obviously there's a lot of different things that could play out here on fortified clearing. You've got 2 relics in the north. You've got 2 relics in the south. And then you've got your main base, and there's 5 relics towards the middle. Both players will have exposed stones and golds right outside their walls, so there's reasons to push the mid. But then you also have the stones and golds to expand to elsewhere. And Robo, I'm with you. So Running right now is down 2 games. Obviously, that's bad. But he picked Turks first. And so you could make arguments that he didn't have civilizations he would have wanted in other positions because he sacrificed a lot to pick Turks and Lithuanians in his first wave. So he had first pick. He picked Turks. And then I believe Valas gets the next 2 picks. And then I think he got the 2 after that. But we haven't seen pick 1 and pick 2 yet for Running. Now, if he wins this, and then he ends up using Turks and using Lithuanians and winning the whole thing, coming back 3-2, then we're like, wow, he's a genius. But right now, it just doesn't look like things have gone as planned for him with the draft because he hasn't played with his first civilization. We'll see. Now, Italians have always been pretty good on arena-style maps. They haven't been preferred, as Valas just shoots his boar with his TC. So that's awesome. Oh, God. Okay, have we arrived to the point where players have to stop doing that? And I don't think people are going to stop doing it, by the way, because it's very rare that players make mistakes. But I say it's very rare that players make mistakes with it. But we've now seen it multiple times this week. So I don't know exactly what's happening. But everyone seems to do it, and players are making mistakes here or there. Also, can you imagine being new to the game and then watching my events and then having us talk about this? It's a pretty crazy thing. But yeah, okay, Italians do have cheaper uptime, so there you go. That's positive, I guess. Yeah, I was just going to say I like Italians. They have fully upgraded Hussar. They have bomber cannons. They have the Genoese crossbowmen. They have pretty strong archer units. However, not having siege ram and having strong archer units, being a pro, those are two things that are very much negatives, I think, up against the Britons. I think Britons are going to have the better archers, and you almost always need siege rams to mix in against the Britons. So I don't mind the matchup too much, especially now that Valas is screwed up and shot his boar down with his TC. However, this uptime tells me that Valas... Oh! Dang! He's going for a forward. So he's going to go like man-at-arm, archer. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll be curious to see what he can afford here. I actually think he's still going to be able to afford everything. But in theory, not having a boar, he might struggle to get like eco upgrades or something. Is it really that much faster to shoot the boar with your TC? I don't know if it's much faster. I actually haven't done the math on that. But it's feels weird to say it's easier, but it is much easier. It's easier to get the boar directly underneath your TC, and it's a way to make sure your villagers are never low HP. So, like, either way, you're going to have idle time. If you're killing a boar in a standard manner, your villagers are not working as they shoot the boar. So it's the same as putting them into the TC. I personally, I love it. Like, it's now something I do all the time, and it's like very smooth and makes life very easy for you. But then, of course, there's the risk of you shooting it down with the TC, and then you're behind a boar. Now, I'm surprised we didn't see this more throughout the whole event. Also, you can see the lack of food is hurting him now, as he wants to get his wood upgrade, but he doesn't have man-at-arms yet. And he, oh god, this hurts so much. He has to decide between making his next villager and getting the man-at-arm upgrade. And I feel like you've got to get the man-at-arm upgrade. But maybe he should have skipped the wood upgrade. I don't know. Maybe he's going to wait. Like, the longer he waits, though, the more this investment doesn't make sense. Let's be honest, people do it because it looks cool. No, I really don't think so. Like, that trick originated from the Nomad days where you only had, like, 3 villagers underneath your TC at the start on Nomad. So people did that back in the day. And then, I forget who started it. I think honestly it was Yo. I think it was the Chinese pros who started to do it on Arabia. Yeah, I don't think it's because it looks cool. Pros don't care about how anything looks. They just care about efficiency. I mean, some pros care about how things look. Not other pros. But man, this is like... I can't tell if this is going to be awesome timing or awful timing for Valis. Because he's now getting man-at-arms. I mean, props to him. He didn't sacrifice his economy that much, I guess, in order to make this happen. And he's going to have archers, and it's going to be at a time where Running would never expect it. Like, from what Running has seen or not seen, Running just thinks that he can stick to his game plan, make scouts, boom up, and now all of a sudden, the archers are going to be here, and he's going to have to freak out. And honestly, the timing might actually be brilliant. Running has to scramble down walls. The downside would be that Running is going to be in Castle Age. But okay, Fletching's going to be in. Archers are on the way. I'd be very confused if I were Running right now, but he gets his walls down towards the TC. Here he has to do the same. If he was really concerned about this, he could always just drop a town center in his gold, or he could make a knight. But obviously, he's still not in the Castle Age. Also, he doesn't have Loom. So he could lose a villager to this scout. And he will lose a villager to this scout. And he could lose another villager to this scout. Okay, double house wall. Scouts and villagers fighting. Villagers with no Loom have to run. Lots of idle time. Running needs to win this scout war, and he does. That's nice. And so far, so good for the pressure, I guess. Michael, so there's separate gather points. Running, don't lose your scout. Don't lose your scout. Don't lose your scout. Don't lose your scout. Ah, that hurts so much. So when you have the TC, you can right-click to set a gather point. But you also can set a gather point by pressing a separate hotkey. I think it's a set gather point hotkey, actually. I forget what it's called. For me, I know what the hotkey is, but I don't remember exactly the situation. But anyways, you could set that, and it won't immediately fire on the boar. So a lot of people are trying to right-click the boar with their TC, which is what you do to shoot. It's complicated, right? Because you got to, like, shoot the boar first, but then you press that hotkey, set it on top of the boar, and then eject your villagers or send them to work. And then they end up shooting it. But yeah, I don't know what the default is. Also, I really think that this strategy has had some effect here. Like, I obviously, imagine how good it would have been if he had his boar. But his farming eco is really smooth. It will be very late to Castle Age. But he's going to stonewall this, which I think is underrated and awesome. We've seen a lot of players not do this. Even, like, Viper didn't do this in Platinum League, which was, like, bothering me so much in that one game against Velez. 2 TCs for Running, though. And Running's actually been able to go to the middle for gold, so that's nice for him. Running did have to add Siege, though, which I think he'll be frustrated with. And now he's going to see the stone walls, and he's going to see the army, and he'll realize, well, my Siege is kind of a waste now, because that army's not going to come in. Now, the army could come in at any other point in time. Like, there could be a gate here for Valas. So I still don't think it's a bad addition in the long run. Unfortunately, with the Britons, you have very cheap TCs. But just keep an eye on the idle time for Running, because it's not going to be good. He doesn't have the eco upgrades he would want. And he's not able to produce out of 2 TCs just yet. But yeah, I think he saw the siege. Realized he didn't want to lose his army. He's just backing away. He's got the stone walls down, which is good. They might not stay up forever, truthfully. Because if the Mangonel were to attack the stone walls, I think it would end up going down before Valas was in Castle Age. Now Valas is going to loop around with his army. And he's going to shift his focus towards the middle, I'm guessing. That's obviously going to take him some time. Meanwhile, Running's going to take out the range. So it's very possible Valas will not be able to get crossbowmen unless he makes another archery range. Running 34 villagers versus the 37 of his opponent. But does have 2 TCs to produce villagers now. And is now going to go for the safe play and is going to stonewall this just in case his opponent were to make a stable. And he's got his monastery. So he can get the relics in the middle. And it's important he gets the relics fast. Because that army is looping. Okay, so Valas won't have a stable to contest the relics. Will he just boom from here? He can get the relics in the north. What he could do is you could make a gate down here. And you could try and go to the relics over here. An area he hasn't scouted. I think I would see the sieges here, and I would feel comfortable to move out with my Feudal Age army. I know even if you're just up against, like, a scout or something, it might... It's not normal, but I mean, obviously you should be fine against 1 or 2 scouts. At least force the opponent to make more siege. You can't just assume that that siege is going to end up coming to the middle, and it looks like the siege might be on the way. It's Running's going to wall it up. And wow, Running is town centering way down here. So yeah, Running has a Vill lead. 2-2 KD. The Running now sees with this monk that the archers are in the middle. And will lose this monk, but ended up getting 1 relic and was able to save these villagers and just pull back to the gold. Yeah, that took a long time to get here, but it was the right play. Because we now have double monastery. What? Double monastery. Is it going to be double monastery siege workshop? I think he wants to go forward siege, honestly. Here he comes with a Vill. Running's going to see this. But the villager will not die to the scout. The siege could kill it, though. I think Valas will drop the siege workshop immediately. Running will see that. Okay, so that siege workshop should complete. It'll be close, but I think it will complete. Feel like Valas wants to go fast imp. I think he wants to go like monk siege, fast imp, forward castle, and try and win this game fast in early Imperial Age. His faster Imperial Ages have won in the game. In both of the games so far, but obviously a lot of different things happen. Man-at-Arms are going to attack. One gets converted. Other one gets headshotted. Still awkward, though. And that Man-at-Arms going to just go for the siege. The archers are just faking. The Man-at-Arms should be converted. The scouts also still protected. The Man-at-Arms can now take out the spears. Valas just wants to take out the siege, which he will annoyingly do. I think running will be pretty ticked off about that. And okay, so now we have siege. This is going to be like... I don't understand the plan. Fast imp, monks, but you don't have many monks yet? I mean, one player will be in Castle Age for a lot longer, but that player will have a pretty big economy lead. 3 town centers could lead to 4 as well if you're Britons. And running will be microing on the seat with the siege here, I'm sure. Now, in theory, Valas has less to focus on right now when it comes to his economy, so his micro should be better. That's not really something running will know, though. And yeah, this is just going to be all in 3 monastery monks into a forward castle here, guys. And we have 2 monks going for the relics in the north, so those relics are not even going to be... Or those monks are not even going to be in the middle. Does he have a university? I feel like getting chemistry early would be so nice here, especially because Italians have the cheaper techs. Oh, man. He's counting on getting a good engagement here with the siege. If he gets a good engagement here with the siege, he's got a chance at this. Oh, good micro from running. Now the archers are going to go for everything else. More mangonels on the way. Here come the villagers. I like how Valas says, I don't win this game if I don't get this castle forward. And so he's just taking the risk. He knows that he needs a good fight and the castle. There he goes for the monk. Misses the monk. Monk's very weak. Running, looking. Running, seeing. Running, hitting. Running hits again. Oh my god. This could win him the game right here. Fast imp into no castle is not a strategy. And another shot from running. Oh my goodness. That was so sick. He's got a 20 villager lead. The castle will not go up. And now this might be GG. You've got 4 monks on the field and 8 archers. And no castle. Dang. 3-0 with the micro there. And this is a guy who's booming on 4 TCs as well. That was some nasty micro. And now he's just going to camp it. And now we'll see his opponent is imp. And he'll know. It'll be like, oh, okay. So he's low economy, fast imp. I just need to relax, hold from this, and I finally get a win on the board and show people what I'm capable of there. That was sick. He also didn't have an outpost. So it'd be harder for him to see some of that stuff. We do have redemption in, though, for Valas. So he should be able to convert the siege now. He's going to go for 1. He's going to get it as well. Oh, it got deleted. Dang. Okay, but he gets the next one. Here come the villagers to finish the castle. This mangonel will go down. This one gets microed. This mangonel gets deleted. The castle's still not up. I think it will complete, though. I like how Valas is still trying everything he's got because his opponent isn't an imp yet, so why not? There's also a nice idea from running to try and wall it up. But walls take too long, and the monks could still do something. Trebs could still do something as well. Running could still lose this game. Running needs to make sure that the castle he builds needs to be in the back of his base. Like back here, I'd say. You do not want a forward castle here because that would just be a Treb target. And then you probably want to delete this mangonel here. And he does the right thing. So you can't really boom in Valas's position. You just send... You have like 5 on food, and you send everything else to wood gold. Go monks, go trebs, and hope for the best. Your best opening unit with Britons is normally an archer. But I think in this situation, that the archers are a bit of a bait. I think going for light cav is your best play. But you might also think twice about it when up against the Italians, because the Italians can make Genoese crossbowmen. 91 villagers versus 45. Valas has to make this push work. He has yet to break into his opponent's base yet. And we see Theocracy now. So we've had all the crucial monk technologies come in. Block printing for 12 range. Redemption to convert siege. Also, Illumination. And Theocracy. And it's going to be Crossbow for running, who now gets Fortified Wall. And I bet you Valas is thinking, I hope that's the MTC. Because that would be awesome. If he takes out the MTC, Suddenly he's at like 15 monks with a couple cannons and a couple trebs, and his opponent's stuck in Castle Age even longer. It could be a big problem for running. But that is not going to be the MTC. The MTC was wisely selected back here. And he still has yet to break through the gate, and Fortified Wall was such a great tech. Just buying a little bit of extra time. But again, I think light cav opening would be better. And I've seen Valas go for crazy monk play before. It's all about, can you control them? 14 monks about to be 18 monks. 5 crossbows about to be 9 crossbows. Those could all be converted. And yeah, Britain crossbows have lots of range, but monks have just as much range. There's a chance that Valas wins the series here, guys. This is no joke. Like, this is something you really have to fear. And running will know that, because running plays a lot of arena. All right. It'll be 2 TCs have been trebbed down now. The castle could also be taken out. Especially since there's bomber cannons for Valas. I think running's trebs need to be here. Or in an area where bomber cannons can end up getting snipes. Valas running into the castle now? That's not good. That's not good at all. He's going to lose 2 monks there. Ends up microing away with that one, though. And we have ballistics now coming in for running, who will have bracer. Fortunately for him, he does get the extra range for free with the Britons. And now he's going to scramble up new houses because Valas is starting to convert his houses. And also the blacksmith, too. Like, if he wants upgrades, I guess he's got bracer already, but... yeah, you really don't want defense upgrades here, actually. So, having bracer's fine. 20 monks going on 23. Valas is going to take this relic now. He also has wisely stonewalled the sides. That's a really big talking point here. Because his opponent could just raid him on the back of his base with something and he'd be dead. Valas really giving himself a chance, but let's see what his monk micro looks like. Okay, he sees those arbs now. He sees those arbs. Here he goes. He loses 1 monk. That's dangerous, man. That is really dangerous. But the longer this goes, the better it is for running. So running just needs to wait until he gets a bigger mass. His eco's looking really good. I think it's been a bit of a struggle for him to get his unit queue going, because I think he's trying to still focus on his economy. But honestly, I would idle my TCs here. That's what... I mean, okay, let's not say I would, but I think that's the play. That's something I've been trying to learn in all-ins. You already have the eco lead. Continuing to focus on any type of eco could lose you the game. You just have to be happy with what you've got. Wonder if Warwolf is possible here. Yeoman, yo, what's such a great choice. That is such a great choice to get that +1 range on his arbs. But yeah, like this Treb here could easily be sniped by the bomber cannons. It's really tough. You got to get the positioning right. Actually, he might lose both Trebs. But one of the bomber cannons went down, which is also quite nice. For running, as he goes for another cannon with his Trebs. Could have also gone for Warwolf, because the Briton Trebuchets benefit from that. But Yeoman will be in. And there go the monks for conversions. Now you have to click on separate Arbalest, which is so difficult. But you have to imagine that the bomber cannons are going to be an area of focus for running here. So let's see. I'm seeing about 6, 7 conversions queued up. And that's not going to be enough here. And all the monks are starting to die. Again, the potential's there. You can, in theory, do it. But can you actually click that many different units? He's trying, but he's losing all his monks. He's down to 10 monks. 10 monks and soon no cannons. And only 59 villagers. He does have 7 relics, but no, he loses everything there. Well played running to be patient to get his upgrades. And he ended up getting to the number of Arbalests he needed. I think the Yeoman choice was clutch. And while Valas is showing no signs of resigning yet, I think Valas will end up losing this one now. So there's only a few players that can micro like 20, 30 monks like a god in those scenarios. I think all those players are the players who play arena regularly. Like Maudry, I think, could do it. Valas calls the GG here. Hey, look, 40 crossbows versus 40 monks in that game. I think Madri could do it. I think MBL could honestly do it. And then there's a couple one tricks on Arena that are really good with the monks. But even still, 20 monks versus 20 Arbalest, it's always going to be a situation where you favor the Arbalest. I think if it's anything under 10, if it's like 10 monks versus 10 Arbalest, you might favor the monks because you could set up to like 9 control groups, but you can't set up to like 20 some control groups for the monks. But yeah, and honestly, like I think the big thing that screwed over Velez here was that he didn't get his pressure in earlier. He shot his board down with his TC, and so he wanted to get his eco upgrades and have smooth eco and also go for man-at-arms. But he delayed the man-at-arm pressure for like 3 minutes. Had he pressured earlier, I think this strategy could have worked out a lot more. It wasn't easy, but Running was able to get to his town centers, and Running was able to get a big lead. So we talked about it in the Dark Age. Like, do players have to stop shooting boards and weakening boards with their TC because that is something that can lose them games? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think we'll see players stop doing it. I think players are good enough where they can do that consistently enough where they will just continue to play the game like that. But bad things can happen. Fortunately for Valas, he was up 2-1 already. And anyways, Running's going to show you guys here what he's capable of on an open map like Serengeti, as the approaches will have to shift. Running will have the more mobile civilization. Running has been the slower player so far in the series, and then you've got Valas with the slower civilization in the Mayans. However, I think the Mayans have slightly more potential in the long term. Now, I don't necessarily think they have slightly more potential on this map, though, because there's not a ton of gold, and Mayans will have to rely on gold. So, I like the Hun choice. We see a lot of scout openings on this map from Franks, Mongols. Huns could be strong. I think the weakness of Huns would just be the fact that if the opponent gets to, like, a combination of Eagles and Halbs, it can be complicated. But that, of course, would be the Imperial Age. Looking at the maps, it actually looks like a fairly closed version of Serengeti, which will obviously benefit Running a bit, as he has all these woodlines around. But still a very easy map to overchop your woodlines on, so you have to be careful there. And yeah, you see how quick and easy that was? And you see how the elephant's directly underneath the TC? That's why players do that. And then also you only have one villager that's weak. So, back to our conversation earlier in the previous game, I really don't think players should stop weakening their boars with their TC. But it's a risk you take when you do it. And we saw Valas maybe even lose that previous game because of it. I also think he got mind game in the previous game. I think he expected to be up against Turks. And maybe he went for that strategy because he didn't feel like the Italians could do too well against Britons in the long run. Yeah, I think Tarkans beat Eagles. They should anyways. 170 HP versus a max of 100 HP with Mayan Eagles. The attack's higher. I'm pretty sure the melee armor's higher as well for Tarkans. So I think Tarkans would shred Eagles. The problem just comes in if the Eagle player mixes in Halb as well, is suddenly you can't make... You're not just producing out of your stables, whereas the Mayan player can produce only out of their barracks. Which makes it a lot easier. You have 6 barracks, and you can just spam everything. Whereas the stable player would have to add archer ranges and then get additional upgrades to go for archers. Well, Huns are great on this map because they can be very mobile, very open, and very aggressive. And this is one of the more open maps that we have. Not having to build houses in messy games as well can be very helpful. And so far, Running's just pushing in what he can of his zebra over here. I actually kind of like this. Just leave the ostriches here. If you want to take them later on, it's going to be next to a mill. And he brought in that elephant right away. Here comes Valas, looking to scout. Could actually pick this villager. These 2 villagers are trapped, so they can't help. It's close enough to the TC where he might not try this. But it is something he could have considered there. I think he saw it. Not sure. He seems to be thinking about this. Or maybe he was just double checking to see how much was left on the wood. Meanwhile, for him, and I would say the weakness of Mayans is they struggle with the faster up times. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good. 4 on wood. He actually has been able to find his opponent's scout. And oh, he's sending a Vil. Interesting. We've seen this a lot from the Mayans and the Aztecs. They just bring their eagle forward, which will always beat the scout in Dark Age. They try and be as annoying as possible. And wow, Valas is going to wall up the berries. That is going to be super annoying. It can still be used, but not as efficiently anyways. Ugh. But we have Loom for running. Running's still going to click up to Feudal Age here. His plan hasn't changed that much. And he's going to try and fight this off here. And he should be able to. I know Valas is great with quick walls, but that's a very weak villager right now. And I think it's worth it to sacrifice your scout in order to kill this vill. No way! Okay, just make a palisade. Just trap him. Just make a palisade. Okay, you live there now, villager. That was a really sick quick wall, though, I have to say. And also, now the scout is rather weak for running, which means he can't easily use this to attack his opponent in early feudal. That said, Valas still hasn't even clicked up to the next stage. Like, he actually took... I didn't realize this because I've been a little tired this morning. He actually took a really long time to find his opponent there. Look, he made houses out here and everything. So that pressure could have come in faster. That's the risk you take when you go for a lane, is you do depend on finding them right away. Running sees the house, and he's going to be like, wait, is his base there? He's going to think, no, that can't be his base. And now he sees this house. I would be so confused, man. I can't wait till he makes more army, because I bet you any money he's going to send his scouts over that way. It's like, what? Okay, that villager continues to be trapped. 24 vills right now for Valas. Okay, finally he clicks up. He's been real casual about that. But again, like, one of his villagers was just walking around the map. Yeah, the vill that's walking... or the vill that was walking will not be included in the idle eco here. And if the villager is doing anything, really, like walking or building, it's not included. So that also includes attacking a palisade wall. So we know that that's an idle villager, but capture H doesn't account for that. There goes running with his scout. He's like, all right, I got to find an area to kill this guy. Now, of course, it's going to dawn on him. What you can look for is if you see a 4-tile gold or a 3-tile gold, that's always near the player's base on this map. But yeah, if I were him, I would just not worry about this villager at all. You'll probably make an archer range at some stage. Just deal with it then. And you just got to get some scout pressure in here quickly. But guys, Valas doesn't even have a barracks yet. Like, even this barracks is really late. Very weird. He had the resources for the barracks. It almost looks like he's trying a weird fast castle play as well. What a weird game. And I think a lot of the strategy for him was to lame early, and he just didn't get the things there in time. He was able to keep his eagle alive, though, which is really nice. He healed that up in the town center a little bit. And here come the scouts from running. At this point, his opponent can make some spears. The eagle will not survive against the scouts anymore. Running with some good micro. Good execution so far. And he dodges. Now, it's decision-making time if you're running. And there's the decision. He's going to add the range. You know your opponent's going to go for spear defense. Sometimes players will just avoid the spears and delay that, because that could be 3 farms. My personal preference is to always go for the farms, because there's one too many times where I add the range at this time. And then I just, like, don't get... I don't know. I just don't get the value that I want. But with Huns, you don't have to worry about spending wood on anything else, right? Because you don't have to make the houses. So the timing looks pretty solid to me. The wood's going to be built... or used, sorry, for the mining camp. He has 5 scouts. He's got archers on the way already. It feels like the timing's really good. I would also just kill this vill. But maybe you don't want to kill the vill. Maybe you don't want your opponent to know about this. Meanwhile, these villagers are going to take out this palisade wall because it's blocking the efficiency on the berries. Yeah, he's actually sending the range units forward. That's really smart. Valas would assume that that villager would die to archers. And that would at least give him an idea, as he's definitely trying to squeak away with a fast castle here of some kind. Which is just so unlike the map, man. It's not something you see on this map. And for good reason. The range units come in. With the scouts, he'll be pushed off of everything. And he might actually sell his stone So he might not be able to make a tower either. Okay, now he sees the archers. So now he might actually tower. Okay, so for now he goes for house walls. This is my problem. Is like I don't get the numbers forward in time, and then I'm like, dang, I wish I had more farms right now. It's not like his farm count's bad, but the point I'm trying to make here is it's a really tricky decision in the moment to make. And so far, Valas is gonna get away with this. The scouts are gonna attack this gate. They can't break through easily, but they almost need to. Like, if the scouts and the archers could be here, Valas loses 8 villagers. But the fact that they can't be together means there's a big problem here. Right, because if you were to dive in here with the scouts, there should be enough spearmen to deal with those scouts. Great job from Valas. Honestly, very impressive stuff. And he wants to go into Eagles in the next stage. It's just 1 barracks production. I really think that running could have been more aggressive. He could have found more value. He could loop around, right? But he's just assuming this is going to be full walled. He's going to check now in a second, I think, to see if there's a full wall down over here. And I like this because he's going to take out this house pretty quickly. And this could snowball at any point in time. Running now, realizing the scouts are looping. Or sorry, not running, but Valas is realizing running scouts are looping. So now he's dropping a tower here because he knows. And running has forging now. Running could kill a villager and running dives. That was really smart thinking. So this villager will go down. We have the scouts now engaging against the spearmen. They'll beat the spearmen with these upgrades and these numbers. Still running, still killing. It's 2 eco kills, make it 3 eco kills. There's 4 eagles with 2 more on the way out of 1 barracks. What is this strategy? It's so risky. Now, of course, we won't have the semis and the final this weekend in Gold League. So this is it for them, right? Both of these guys are top 8. There's a final set for them to get some more prize pool and show the world what they've got. Running ends up backing away because he sees these villagers and he says, thank you. I was getting awfully worried I wouldn't get more value from my scouts. Appreciate it. But we will have full feudal here, folks. 2 stables. Running is committed now. And I think the correct move would be to pull more villagers off of gold as he just did because archers are not going to have much of an effect anymore. So there's a big risk in how Valas played this. But the reason you take the risk is because there can be some insane reward. You get 7 base attack on the Eagles starting in Castle Age. And then you also start to produce Eagles a bit faster in the Castle Age. So the Eagle strategy only gets stronger, but you need that mass. And scouts are still reasonable, and great job from Running here, who had bloodlines, had attack. I also love how he didn't get armored, so he could squeeze out a couple extra scouts. A lot of players would try and go for full upgrades, but I think the numbers are the big thing right now. And anyways, Running gets the clear up as we see another barracks now for Valas. Now, people might be asking, okay, well, what about spears? Well, he doesn't have a lot of food eco. Everything's gold. And Running comes forward again. And Running gets another really good fight and also delays the 3rd barracks. Now would be the time, though, where you want to buy food or try and get up to Castle Age if you're running. Usually. But he's a crazy person, man. He's going to dive. Valas with the quick walls. Very good quick walls. No mistakes made. And so now you've got the tower fire, but I don't know if the tower will help that much. It's an interesting decision from Running, because if he were to lose all of his scouts here, those Eagles are going to come directly to his base, but it still seems like a pretty good fight to me. Still producing scouts, though. Man, that farming eco is awesome. And yeah, he's just buying a bit of food. He knows that Castle Age needs to come in eventually. Also, I love how the archer was there as well. That's sneaky stuff. First game looked good from Running. Like, he defended an all-in monk siege push for those that missed it. But then he just got outboomed. It was Aztecs versus Byzantines. Running went long swords against the monks. Took out 3 monasteries. But yeah, outboomed. Eventually outclassed in that game. Game 2 looked a little flat for him as well. But here, game 3. Game 4. After winning game 3. With some mistakes from Valas, we have to say. Looking really sick. And this eagle play still not looking very good, man. Oh, geez. Still more scout production. Scouts are going to dive yet again. and forcing more quick walls from Valas. Now, if Valas gets the quick walls down, and the villagers can still collect resources, then all the eagles from him should go forward. But the scouts just run away as quickly as they arrived. And there's the Castle Age click for running. Important thing for running here, though, is that he continues to produce scouts and he tracks those eagles. Because it's now 8 army versus 11. And if those eagles get into his base, any eco lead that he has will just fall apart. So here he is. And you can tell Valas now is like, oh my god, he's got everything here. I might be able to sneak to his base. And running needs to sense... He's trying to punish the fact that the whole army is in here, but he needs to sense that the army could be coming to his base. I mean, he's run in here enough times where it really feels like everything is going to be walled, doesn't it? Getting armor now. This is his point of view. Oh, geez. Oh, man, that's so many eagles. That's so many eagles running. He does react, but he can't house wall with the Huns. So it's really tough to save yourself in these positions. The scouts might just end up looping on home. And these villagers, boop, little palisades, good work. Another palisade wall. Okay, loses another one, but gets some protection. But man, this is looking so close all of a sudden. Look at the idle time. And running now has to run to the forward gold because he's going to need gold for knights and probably the upgrades as well here. I'm not sure about this decision. Like, he's able to get back to this gold. I feel like that was a reaction that is just not correct. And now, oh god, now all his villagers are exposed. This is a really bad decision. I think you just go back to your farms and you're okay. But the pressure's on, obviously. Eco KD will end up being even here. These eagles are going to sit in a little hole. We have knights on the way. We have the light cav upgrade on the way, so the army from running can still recover this. But it's 19 eagles for Valas. But the question I have to ask is, where is the eagle warrior upgrade? These are still eagle scouts. If these are eagle warriors, I think that running could die. But considering they're not eagle warriors yet, I'm not so sure. And I'm not sure because normally you see the eagle warrior upgrade in. He's actually going for pikeman now. He's going to go like pike monk. And I like pikemen, but I like maxing out the army that you've already invested into more. Ooh, do you delete your stable here? No, you can't, right? Oh, he's just being patient now running. Just being patient, just waiting. Now the eagles will have the hill. Pikemen could come forward as well. This is how you get value from your army, right? You never give your opponent the hill. This is stupid. Okay, and here we go. Now, it is much easier for eagles to engage because they have tinier hitboxes. But the micro from running! He pulled that army this way, and now the eagles left the hill. That was sick. That was really sick stuff. Also, here he's got a knight. Runs away, so he'll know there's monks out there. We'll have 8 knights. We'll have 12 light cap for running. And while it was messy there for a bit, he hasn't won the game yet. But he is pushing this eagle attack away. And yeah, Valas was missing a lot of upgrades, right? Now pikeman's in, though. He's got 10 pikemen with 4 more on the way. Might need to go cav archers now if you're running. I'd like to see the ranges start coming down. I think a combination of knights and light cav would be good for a certain period of time. Like, this is still okay. But is it good in the long run for you? I'm not so certain. I like the start to the fight. I guess this fight ends up being a victory for him. But it definitely feels like he needs cav archers now. And he's going to go for the cav archer switch. Actually, he also picked off a monk here with the light cap. That was great stuff. And as I say all the time, knights beat a pikeman in a 1v1 fight. So I think the reason he took the fight was because he was also clearing up a bunch of eagles. And he knows once the eagles are out, it's easier to go for CA. 60 to 40 KD. I actually like that fight a lot from running. It was weird though, right? Like, a lot of people might not take that fight. But I think if you don't take the fight, a cav archer switch is a little bit more awkward for you. I think maybe if like Valas was able to get the Eagle Warrior upgrade with the 10 pikemen, with the 15 or so eagles, then it's a bit closer, possibly. But now we have Cav Archers on the way. This is the power of the Huns, playing open, playing offensive on Serengeti. That's exactly what you would expect. But the Cav Archer upgrades aren't quite in. It's also a bit more complicated to micro. I guess it's also easier to micro at the same time. I don't know. That statement, just forget I said that. The thing about straight Eagle Spearmen is, and that's why I say it's easier to micro, even though they have less mobility, is you just produce out of the same buildings, and you just patrol in and, like, micro your monks. Like, Knight Cav Archer, I think they have more micro potential. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier. We might see that potential there. Bod Canero comes in. One Cav Archer was converted, sadly. A couple Cav Archers going down. The Knights now loop in, though. There's not enough Cav Archers here where I really like this engagement for running. If he had, like, 5 more Cav Archers, it'd be an easy clear. So it's still not pretty, but it is still going to be a fight that he wins. And this Cav Archer is now sitting on his gold, which I'm sure he's going to be rather annoyed by. He continues to deal with this all-in attack from Valas. It is a continuous all-in push as well. And you notice he's making more Eagles again, but he never got the Eagle Warrior upgrade, and that's pretty expensive now, so he might never be able to really do this now. We've got 4 Knights, 1 more on the way, 7 Cav Archers, 2 more on the way. They're cheap with the Huns as well. Until a control group problem happened because the villagers are running forward. What a great job from running here, man. We might go to the 5th game. What in the world? He said he was fairly confident in the interview. That he wanted his revenge because in another tournament recently, they went to the 5th game in a best of 5. Good micro on the pikemen with the Cav Archers. The Knights should be able to help with everything else. Villagers have to pull back just temporarily. I think this will end up being an army clear. Meanwhile, we had the Knights here clearing up some army from Valas. He's down to 5 army now. And he's behind by 15 vills, and he taps out. Dang. What a response there from running. You know, like, that was a bit of a weird opening, right? Valas tried to get the laming in. Running ended up killing that villager. Didn't lose too much to the lame. And against that cheeky fast castle, was able to make the feudal damage happen. If you know me, I love it when you have players going full feudal up against fast castle age. I love it when you have all-in castle age versus a faster imperial age. It's not a situation you really see all the time, but it was the correct play from running there to realize if he tries to go castle age without investing further into army and feudal age, he would have died to that early pressure. Also was a very confident play from Valas, maybe overly confident there, but at the same time, I think he also recognized like where Mayans can shine and where the Huns can shine, and feudal age is not that exciting for Mayans if they can't get walls down. I could see why he wanted to shift his focus towards the castle age. 2 early wins for the Finn, and then 2 responses from the German. We find ourselves going to a 5th game. There's the resources collected there. Okay, so the big thing I will look for is the build order for running. Running's chosen the Lithuanians. Now, we've seen a few instances where players have gone for Lithuanians on this map, and usually players are using that additional food to chop wood faster, and they are going for the instant dock. Now, you can do it 2 different ways. You can go 4 villagers to wood, and then you have your lumber camp. Or you can go for the straggler tree approach. And I actually like the straggler tree approach because there's 150 wood on these trees as opposed to 100 wood on normal maps. So we have the instant dock for running. Now for the Chinese, they start with 3 additional villagers. They also have the cheaper techs. I think they have the more diverse tech tree, though Lithuanians are pretty diverse in what they can do as well. So normally, if it was a normal Arabia-style game where they didn't dock at all, and they just took the hunt, I would prefer the Chinese. But the Lithuanians taking advantage of this potential boost here at the start is pretty creative here from running. And I really like it. Yeah, again, he's going to have a fishing ship out in a moment. And already he brings in his first boar. Now, I think the problem I have, it's not necessarily a problem, I guess, but the issue that could arise is it is just simply harder to play in running's position. Having to do all this fancy stuff to be able to get your eco rolling and to be arguably on par with the Chinese doesn't always feel so good. But we'll, of course, have to check and see how many resources have been brought in. Valas, though, is probably just going to stay at home and push deer all of Dark Age. There's deer everywhere. I think there's 100 plus deer on the map. Let's double check this one. 87. Yeah, 85 is what I saw the last time I checked, so I don't know what happened, but I remember seeing 100 before. Yeah, Mongols are banned. Neither player deciding to go for a civ like Magyars, which surprised me. Unless Magyars was banned and I missed it. I was so pleased to see Magyars and Saracens and all these different civilizations work well on this map. I think the best Golden Swamp game... I don't know if I could say the best, because I guess the Dark Age and Feudal Age was kind of boring. But one of the best Golden Swamp games was the Viper Veleza semi-final game with Saracens versus Magyars. Because I was like, what? Saracens? And then it was like, yo, Saracens. And then it was like, whoa, Magyars. And I was like, boo, Magyars. Whoa, Magyars. It was cool. From a civ perspective, that was a really cool one. All right, so let's wait till about 7 minutes. And then let's check the amount of resources brought in. Again, that doesn't fully sum up the situation, because the Chinese do have the cheaper technologies, and I think that's a big deal, but having 3 fish in the middle is certainly going to be helpful. Also, I don't know if Running will pay attention to this, but if you take the fish next to your dock first, which you'll do anyways, and then you take this fish, the scouts that might come out from your opponent will have a harder time getting your fishing ships if they're spending time in the middle. Again, he will likely not pay attention to that at all, but it was just a thought. I don't know how many times Valas faced up against us in Gold League, but he should recognize this is a possibility. So when he sends his scout out, I think he should be looking for the middle. And then you could, in theory, just use your scouts and spearmen to take out the fish. Thank you for calling me eloquent. Yes, I received that compliment a lot with my descriptions. Okay, so I said 7 minutes, but now I'm curious. Okay, so more wood collected for Running and less food. In theory, he will catch up a little bit with the food because of the fish. And having more wood obviously isn't going to be too bad if he wants to wall up. Running is clicked up faster, though. That's really sick. Let's actually check right when they arrived to Feudal Age. I still think Valas will have more resources collected because the deer is faster than the fish. He's also pushed a lot of deer. So Running, realizing the TC might be there, is just... Oh my god, what the... He knew the TC was there. He saw the villagers. But yeah, I'm going to assume this is going to be scouts for both players. Actually, Running didn't push in much deer at all. I guess that's the one big difference here. Gabby, what's up? What's up? Also, Richard, what's up? He says, hey, T, came from watching the Platinum Final Insane Series. Hey, welcome, welcome. We have 3 more best of 5s in all the first season. This is Gold League now. And so, welcome in. Yeah, and apologies for the confusion. I still wanted to call this a quarterfinal. I couldn't think of what else to call it because our schedule got ruined. I think it's fair. I'll just keep explaining it, and we also have the pinned comment there if you guys are at all confused. Okay, so they're about to hit Feudal, and wow, that's so cool. That is so cool. Now, having more wood is not going to be a bad thing if you want to transition into farms and military buildings. There's going to be the barracks. There's the stable there for Running. Getting his wood upgrade now as well. Obviously, a very open map. Running has not taken berries yet at all. That's something he'll want to think about in the near future. Just completely different build orders. And did Valas see the dock? Okay, he saw the dock. Now, honestly, if I were Running and my opponent was using their scouts up against my fishing ships, it wouldn't bother me too much because I'd know exactly where his army was, so that's not too bad. His scout's being active, sees the stable from Valas, so he knows what Valas is up to there. Just looking around to see, and he'll confirm that there's still hunt being brought in. What you definitely want to do. Now, how exposed you want to leave your villagers to take the hunt? That's another question. Yeah, there's a spearman as we see a fire galley now. A scout chasing down the scout. So, I guess Running under a little bit of pressure. But it's very close. Would you say Sebastian is the Uruguayan Leary? Yeah, but I could say like Daniel is the American Leary, and I could say like there's not a lot of good Uruguayan players beyond Sebastian. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, so I don't know if I would really compare him to Leary, but he's obviously a very good player. I can't wait to watch him play later on today. I think if I were a hype man for Uruguay, that would be what I would say for sure. I don't think he plays into archers quite as much to be considered Leary, but he's a Uruguayan superstar for sure. He seems motivated too. He's got a good fan base behind him. And that's all the stuff you need, man. And talented players can do a lot with that. Well, I'll be curious to see what he does against Ganji later, because Ganji was never someone who was expected to win his group. That's precisely what happened. Ha! Have fun with your walls, loser. I'm in through your wood line, says Running. But there's also scouts here from Valas, and Valas seemingly playing very safe, and now Running wants to leave, and Running can't leave. So this might have been part of the plan here. Fishing ship's still working, though, so that's great. Also, you could take some deer and take some risks at home if you wish to, if you're Running. Valas is taking 0 risks. Running is going to have to wall up at home, I guess, as this is happening. It sucks, too, because your scouts are weaker, so you never want to fight this off. You just want to buy time. I don't think he was expecting his opponent to be fully walled. And, oh, you can take a fight here. Nope, just still running. Oh, yeah, there you go. Sees an opportunity, goes in for a kill, but again, he's always going to lose these scouts in the end. So very clean play from both players. I think I would prefer Valis' position because having additional scouts on the map is going to be no joke. I would like to see him maybe consider pulling 2 scouts. Now he's going to clear this. Now you definitely want to get like 3 scouts and send them forward to stop any walls from the opponent. Checking the resources brought in. Running has actually brought in more, but again, he's brought in a ton more wood. And I don't think having more wood is really that helpful here. Like, I guess he's doing it for farms. But Chinese farms have a lot more food on them. And the hunt is going to bring you to Castle Age faster. So it's not so easy to balance, I guess. But it's a difference of approaches, right? Running really needs to get the walls down. Does still have 3 scouts that he created back at home. He should know there's going to be 7 on the way, though. I don't think there's any holes there on the front. There will be no holes on this side unless there's a hole here, and I'm not 100% on that either. And 600 food right now for Valis. Running should get the walls down. Both with a lot on food. If there's a hole, this could be the game. If there's no hole, the play that I would like to see from Valis is I would like to see him attack the stable. Hey, click behind. His units stop. Some players will just choose to attack the houses and force more houses behind. But I like to attack the production buildings. I don't actually know if my approach of attacking the stable is correct because none of the other players seem to do it. But I don't see anything wrong with it. Like, your opponent's going to be repairing at the end of the day, right? But if you end up taking out the stable, it's a lot more important than taking out a house. I guess it also takes longer. Okay, walls are up. Running will be in Castle Age first. As Running will take more hunts. And, wow, Valis was very late to gold. Oh, God, he could have been up like 2 minutes faster. That gold count. Look at the food and gold count. Disaster. It's not an actual disaster. Of course, he's still going to have a solid position, but that's not going to excite him too much. And right now, we have spearmen being made by Running. Lithuanians with their speedy spears. And this could be a pikeman play in Castle Age. Maybe pikeman knight? And I quite like that decision, actually. The scouts are actually going to engage here against the spears. And so Running will maybe regret popping out so early with the spearmen. Oh, jeez. You think, like, you have more spearmen than your opponent's spears, and that there's scouts in there, but the problem is your spearmen are wasting all their attack on other spearmen, which does, like, no damage. And they just don't get the hits in on the scouts that you would want there. That's actually a really big deal. Throwing away 5 spearmen, when you could have just waited and made, like, a couple more, and gone for a fast pikeman upgrade is really painful. No overchops here. Scouts still can't get in. Now we have a range for running, which tells me he might want to go Cav Archers here. I think I would have preferred Pikeman Knight. You see how much food he has? I think having this food gold setup, Pikeman Knight would have made a little bit more sense, but this could come as a surprise to his opponent. I always say, though, if you're going to be going Cav Archers, you want to be in the next age faster, and he is in the next age. And here he goes. Michael, yeah, I don't know the exact jump in prize pool because it might not even be on Liquipedia yet. Basically, what we've done, Cav Archers! We're going to have Chinese Cav Archers. Let's go. I actually think Valas did it, though, because he saw Spearman. And he thought that it would be Pikeman play, and he didn't want to go Knight and Camel into that. So I like Valis' decision to go Cav Archers based on what he's seen more than what his opponent has seen. But at the end of the day, it will be Cav Archers for both. Yeah, so basically what we did was we allocated all the additional prize pool for gold towards the losers of the players who play a quarterfinal today, and then obviously the winners as well. And then Dark Sitaux will get a lesser amount. They'll get the amount that they earned, but they will, I believe they'll also get docked prize pool per the rules for not being able to play all their games. And so all that stuff, like, if I dock prize pool for whatever reason, it always goes towards the other players. It never just, like, goes into my salmon fund or something, right? So I just don't have the numbers memorized right now. So over the long term, I think both Cav Archers are very similar, right? I think both get heavy Cav Archer. Maybe Chinese don't get heavy Cav Archer, but they get full blacksmith upgrades, both of them. And then they both get thumb ring. And then I don't know if they both get heavy Cav Archer, and I don't know if they both get Parthian. But I think I would prefer to have Chinese Cav Archers, only because it's Chinese, and the eco's so good, right? Like, the economy's so smooth, their techs being cheaper is massive, and the additional scouts are just doing just enough here. Oh, man, this is so painful for running right now. It does have, actually, I don't know if it's that painful yet. It does have the Cav Archer numbers, 6. The opponent has 10, but the opponent doesn't have 10 here right now. Both civs miss Parthian? Okay. Interesting. The TC going up on the gold will be huge. And then it's just the wood lines he'll have to protect. And ballistics coming in a Cav Archer war is always one of the big talking points. And could have villagers die here. Also, it almost seems like one player has thumb ring and the other does not. Did anyone see thumb ring come in for Valis? I'd be kind of surprised if he got it, but then again, he's Chinese. And he definitely has the lead right now. He's killed 3 villagers. Now he's getting thumb ring. Okay, so he didn't have it. Both are getting thumb ring. Very timely upgrade. Thank you, guys. Running does have some back area he can use for farming or booming. But it's 8 Cav Archers for him, and it's 16 for his opponent. I honestly feel like just, like, the farm is not reseeding quite as much with the Chinese. Makes this transition a whole lot more smooth. But the whole game has been smoother for Valis. And I mentioned it, right? Like, the dock approach is something you can utilize to help you. But I don't know if it is ideal, as it's so much more difficult to play. One player says, hey, I'm going to open up this game with deer, and then I just switch into farms. Boom, done. Other players like, I have to take straggler trees. I have to dock. I have to add a couple fishing ships. I then have to make a transition into farms late. I then have to try and take deer late. And then you're in Castle Age. You're trying to figure that out. You're trying to go for Cav Archers. And Valis ends up getting the win. So Running brought it back to Game 5. Congratulations to Running for doing that. Obviously, congratulations to both these players for their performances in this league. Valis winning his group. Running being the runner-up in his group, and then eventually making it to the top 8. We'll see both of these names in Platinum League next time. And Running told me in the interview last week, or this week, I guess, it was on Thursday, he said that he feels like with the current map pool, now granted, the map pool for Season 2 will be different in some ways, but he said he truly thinks with the map pool that he can get at least one win against any player in the scene per series if he's able to get, like, Fortified Clearing or able to get Arena. So, with that in mind, combined with whatever else the maps are going to be, and of course, running, being motivated, and having time to practice, maybe he's going to be one of the players that goes to platinum and relegates a big name, and is a surprise. And then I truly do think that Valas, and I'll make a video on this later, but I do think that he's one of my favorites that's being promoted to platinum to stay up. In fact, as I think about it now, I think he and Sitaux, maybe Dark, I think those are the names that I would have to stay up, because ultimately, we'll see how it goes after a couple seasons, but I think the relegation battles are going to be fierce, just as they were this year in Platinum. So, again, well played. Great series. I'm very happy that didn't end up being a sweep. And that's the end of the road for gold for them. And we're going to have 2 more sets after this. We'll have Sebastian versus Ganji. And then we will have Draken versus Kingston.